Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brick and Mortar Visibility. Today, we have Jason Kramer on the podcast, and I'm super excited for you guys to learn from him and understand the importance of nurturing your people, your leads, because every lead is important. However, not every lead gets treated the same. And when he talks about this, he talks about revitalizing or re-engaging leads that may have fallen through the cracks and the importance of that. So we get into that and we get into CRMs and how to make sure that we're not losing our future clients. Before we dive into today's topic, I just want to say a special thank you and welcome. First of all, thank you for listening to the podcast. If this is your first time or you're new around here, welcome. We talk about visibility through SEO and your Google business profile here on the podcast. But I also bring in guests like Jason and others to talk about marketing and visibility. And as brick and mortar business owners, we want that foot traffic, virtual and physical foot traffic to our websites, to our stores, so that we can be the go-to option in our industry and be that gem in the community. That is one of the best compliments I've received, is your business is a gem in our community. And I want that for you. I want your business to be thriving so that you can provide for your family and give generously to the community that you love and are a part of. Your PSA for today is to go grab your Google business profile and update that. What do I mean by that? You're going to go grab a social post from one of your social medias, whether LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever it is, and bring it on over to your Google business profile. If you just glazed over, grab my Google business profile workshop. It's about 30 minutes long. You can speed me up. That way I sound super smart, but it's going to show you how to optimize all those bells and whistles on your Google business profile. And it is important. In fact, I'm going to share some stats with you. Did you know that only 56% of business owners claim their Google business profile? And out of that 56%, only 40% actually do anything with their Google business profile. So that means if you actually do the work here, I give you the workshop telling you how to do it, show you exactly what to do. If you actually do that, you are way ahead of your competition, because most business owners don't take advantage of it. So please take advantage of this free tool by Google, because over 90% of people search for your business on Google. Did you know the work you do today affects your business 60 to 90 days from now? And that just doesn't go for business. That goes for all areas of life. So based on the work you're doing right now, where are you going to be? Is it going to be same old thing, different day? Or is it going to be a level up? If you answered level up, let's make sure it actually happens. Come join me in my mastermind called Level Up, where we meet once a month to hold each other accountable, think strategically, and get inspired and empowered to take the action needed so that you can level up your business. If you want to learn more on how to level up you and your business, go to the link in the bio or msmelissarose.com/mastermind to learn more. It would be my privilege to be part of your story in your level up. Now I want to introduce you to Jason Kramer. He is the founder of Cultivize, a consulting firm that specializes in B2B lead nurturing strategies and technologies. With 15 years of experience running a creative agency, Jason identified revenue gaps in marketing and sales funnels for distributors, service providers, marketing agencies, and manufacturers. He launched Cultivize to provide customized solutions and empower businesses to connect prospect and customer data with marketing campaigns and sales team activities. We had a great conversation talking about CRMs, the importance of lead nurturing, and different ways to do that. I got so much value out of today's conversation, and I hope you do as well. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, if you got some takeaways out of it, I know Jason would love to hear from you. So make sure you click his link in the bio and say hello, tell him your takeaways, and better yet, leave an honest rating and review on Apple iTunes so that way more people can hear about Jason, his work in the world, and brick and mortar visibility. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's hear from Jason Kramer. Are you a brick and mortar business owner that has put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a storefront that lights you up and serves your clients really well, only to be frustrated that you're the best kept secret in town? If you're not hearing your new clients say, "I found you on Google," then you are in the right place. Welcome. My name is Melissa Rose. I'm a mom, a brick and mortar business owner, and your straight shooting visibility coach. I've cracked the SEO code to becoming the top choice on Google in my industry. And now I'm sharing the secrets on this podcast. Get ready for stories, fail-proof strategies, and practical tips to elevate your brick and mortar presence to the top choice on Google. Let's get real, because we're going to make your business the only option in town. Jason Kramer, welcome to the Brick and Mortar Visibility podcast. So good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Happy to be here.
Yes. All right. Okay. I start everybody off with this basic, easy softball question. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think the answer for me is I'd love to be a chef.
Oh,
I have a huge passion in food, and why I never got into that kind of professionally, I don't know. But I'm like a very artistic person.
yeah.
That's my background, which we'll talk about. But yeah, it'd be cool. I've actually done classes at the Culinary Institute, which isn't
Okay.
far from where I live in New York. And I've always wanted to go back. They have like a 2 week intensive like training program for like amateur cooks
Yeah.
that want to learn how the tricks of the trade. And so that's something on my to-do list.
Awesome. Awesome. And you live in New York with two kiddos and
I
a
do.
wife. How old are your kiddos?
They are 15 and 12, a boy and a girl.
All right. You're in the
Yeah,
thick of it. You're having
they are.
fun.
Yeah.
Like that's a fun age. Like you're into their stuff, and as long as everybody's behaving and
Yeah,
having
and they're
fun.
doing their homework and not forgetting about studying for tests.
Exactly.
And yeah.
What kind of food would be your interest? Like if you did that, do you have is it Italian, or is it a certain kind of food, or just anything?
I don't. It's a hard one. I mean, I would say maybe more like kind of like a fusion or So I like a lot of like flavor profiles. So I feel like in the world of Italian, and people maybe not like what I'm about to say, but I feel like you're sort of like in a block of palate when it comes to Italian food. Like it doesn't range too much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you go into different cuisines, you have like last night I made homemade chicken shawarma. And I bought one of these cool, like I don't know people listening audio, but these cool pans where you could stack all the meat up, in the oven, like on a
Okay.
spigot kind of.
Okay.
And my son's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! It tastes so authentic,"
Oh.
So it's like, so yeah, so I don't know. I would say like probably like kind of like some fusion type
Okay.
cuisine.
All right. Well, we're going to launch from that into what you do right now in your world of business entrepreneurship. At the end of this episode, Jason, what do you want people to get from it?
So I want them to walk away, Melissa, with the aha moment to realize there are things in my business that are causing us angst or frustration. And here's some things we can do to fix it. Most notably, most businesses face the challenge of how do I manage, growing my business? How do I manage all the marketing I'm doing and the leads that are coming in and making sure things don't fall through the cracks when we get busy. And the follow-ups I think are important as well. Because a lot of times you forget about those follow-ups and you kind of let those opportunities that you spend a lot of time materializing and investing in, right, and spending money on sort of fall to the wayside because there's no systems in place to
Mm-hmm.
follow up with those people in a systematic way. And so I think for people listening today, there's a lot they can bring out of it, regardless of the type of business. I know you work with a lot of like brick and mortar and retail, but in any business, there's browsers and there's shoppers. And my contention is that people that are browsers are most likely going to buy at some point. It's a matter whether they're going to buy from you or a competitor. And that's what we're trying to do is help people buy from you and not the competitor.
Awesome. I'm super excited about this episode, everybody. This is going to pertain to all of us, no matter what industry you're in. So I'm super excited for Jason to share his wisdom on how to get more leads to be buyers. So tell us the cliff notes of your story, how you came to be where you are.
Sure. So the real abridged version is my background is in communication design, marketing. Um, Worked for agencies, got to work on some really cool brands, the Virgin Atlantics of the world and smaller brands that listeners never heard of. But it was really early on in my career that I saw an opportunity for like the first gap. And that was businesses that couldn't afford an expensive agency and also needed more than just like a freelancer. And so I built back in the early 2000s a virtual agency, and we help mostly service-based businesses, doing branding, web development, all that great stuff. And then fast forward about 16 years later into that business, I sort of this opportunity to find another gap, which was people were spending on money on marketing, but they weren't nurturing and managing those leads, right? So they were just really just dropping the ball. And so I sold the first business, the agency, to start Cultivize. It's now going to be in our sixth year. And we're not in the business of lead gen. We're in the business of what we call lead nurturing and lead conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right. So helping us nurture and convert those leads. So
that's right.
okay, so you do that through your CRM. What is a CRM for everybody who doesn't know that terminology?
Sure. So a CRM can mean a lot of different things, just like the word marketing can mean a lot of different things, right? It's very, very subjective. But to me, a CRM has three core functionalities. So the first is it's going to store all of your contacts, and that could be potential customers, existing customers, it could be vendors, strategic partners you work with. It's really think of it as an address book, but sort of on steroids. It's going to have a
Mhm,
lot more information about the history of those people, the notes you've taken,
mhm,
all the little things you need to know about them. That's the first piece. The second piece to a CRM is going to be the ability to send out emails. A lot of companies out there are using Mailchimp and different tools, which are good for different purposes. But if your CRM can deliver your marketing messages, your newsletters, and all these things, then you could have a lot more insights
mhm,
to connecting all that information to your contacts.
mhm,
And then the third component would be sales activities. There's a huge disconnect in a lot of businesses. And when we talk about sales, people think in the retail, well, sales is maybe not as much of a player, but it certainly is. Even if somebody's walking in and browsing through the clothing rack or signing up for a gym class, it's a transaction, it's a sale, right? Nevertheless. And
mhm,
so the CRM, has to have, in my opinion, a sales component or tie into your existing sales component, which could be
mhm,
like your point of purchase system, right? It could
mhm,
be your sales component.
mhm,
And that's what I would define as a CRM.
mhm. I love that. I love that you brought in all three of those because I started my business 16 years ago.
Hmm.
I think I invested in a CRM probably in 2020, maybe 2016-ish, around there.
Hmm.
And the one I invested in has all those components to it. I'm like, so I don't have any extra plugins or anything. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, like I didn't know. Like, so I invested in that. So what are your favorite ones? Or like if somebody, because once you invest in one, you're not really going to change. I
Yeah.
feel like it's one of those, like once you invest, you're there, because to transfer over, your pain point has to be pretty big. So which ones would you recommend to people?
Well, this is the thing. Before I get into the answer to that question,
Okay.
Melissa, I think the thing that's important, and actually on the Cultivize website, we offer a free, what we call a CRM fit assessment.
Okay.
And there's about 30 different things we look at when we're recommending a CRM to a company.
Okay.
Obviously, there's not time to go through all of them, but some of the important things beyond talking about specific platforms is, who on the team is going to be using this tool? How are they going to use the tool? What functionality do you need in terms of like, what are your goals? Like, do you want to send emails out? Do you want to be able to do these things we're talking about, like nurturing campaigns where we're dripping emails out to people? Do we want to track our sales activities, right? There's all these different things you need to figure out as a business owner. Um, and then also a few other things is usability. We know, and too, Melissa, like when you started back a few years ago using your new system, it could be overwhelming, right?
Hmm.
So it's how usability is on that new system. My team, is it going to be difficult for them to use it? Is it going to be easy for them to use it? Those are important factors. And then you mentioned a really big one is scalability. So a lot of times, and listen, there's between you and I, we both know, maybe listeners don't, but there's literally thousands of different tools out there, right?
Hmm.
Literally, I mean, and there's more and more coming out every year. And so they have these shiny object kind of syndrome where it's like, oh, this is a cool new tool. I want to try it. I want to sign up for a month, for a year. But ultimately, you got to figure out these other things first. And so the last part, and one of the many 30, but the last one is, how is the tool going to scale, right? So you
Yeah.
might say, hey, Jason, I can only afford $100 a month, you know, right? And what can I get for that? But
Hmm.
if you're planning on investing in your business and growing, next year you might outgrow that CRM. well, then you got to start over again. And so it's better to kind of plan ahead and grow into something versus outgrowing it pretty quickly. A few systems that we like, starting with like very low tier ones
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like CRM, there's a product called Pipedrive, which would be more for a business, not necessarily in retail, but someone that's selling services or products perhaps to consumers or other businesses, because you can manage the Pipedrive if you have a sales process. It has some good CRM kind of functionality, although I would define it more of as a, as it's called, a pipeline management tool. But it's a good entry level product. Um, but we sort of fast forward, there's other ones in there. The ones that we focus most on at Cultivize are HubSpot and a product. It used to be called Sharp Spring. It got bought 3 years ago by Constant Contact. So it's a new Constant Contact product that came out that's really cool. And the reason we like those is because they're so comprehensive and they're so easy for the teams to start adopting and using. And the price points, depending upon obviously the business and different nuances, are affordable compared to, like, say, a Salesforce, which you're going to be spending like $100,000 a year, rolling that out. And that's not, always needed for every type of business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gamut is huge, and I love that you have that Q&A for people just to kind of see, like, bullet point, like, what are you really looking for? Because there are a lot of different features, and you can just go, "Ooh, I want that," but do you need it, and are you going to use it? That's the other thing I advise my clients. You probably have a software platform that you're not going deep enough in.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know that it does offer this or whatever. I want to jump to lead generation and nurturing activities, lead nurturing activities. Can you talk about the gap and what we're missing as business owners there, and what
So
the difference of those? And
yeah, absolutely. So lead generation, right, is the catalyst where somebody doesn't know about your organization, your company, your product, whatever it is you're selling, and your marketing is saying, "Hey, look at me. This is what we do," and you're drawing them in to download something on your website, to come into the retail store. It's drawing that person into your world. Um, Lead nurturing is when that person walks through that front door physically or virtually, right,
mm-hmm,
depending upon your business. But they don't buy anything. They sort of just look around. They're like, "Oh, this is nice. This is cool, but I don't need it right now, or I can't afford it right now." The nurturing helps you stay in front of that person to educate them and to inform them. So I'll give you a great example.
yeah,
This past summer, we started working with a new client. Happens to be in a it may seem like a seasonal business, is not a pool company. So they do pool construction, they do spas, they do all these different things. Well, a lot of people that are going to drop, 20, 50, 80 grand or more on a pool, maybe sort of just experimenting in terms of like, what is the cost? What's involved, right? And so they get a lot of people that say, talk to me next year. I'm not ready
mm-hmm,
this season to buy it.
mm-hmm,
Currently, they're not doing anything to nurture those prospects. They will, and they've already signed off on doing that with us. But what that program is going to look like for that client is, here's the things you should know about a pool, right? Here's the 10 top things. Next month, here's an email about the hidden costs of owning a pool, right? Another one might be, here's some resources. When you do an in-ground pool, you'll need landscaping. Here's some resources and ideas to do landscaping around your pool. So it's not saying, are you ready to buy the pool yet, right? Or saying, hey, when can we sign the contract? It's saying, here's some things you'll need to know that are going to help you make an informed decision. And when
mm.
companies do that and they go from that education standpoint, it really helps. Sorry, I almost knocked
Whoops.
my microphone over. I apologize on
He's
that.
excited
That's what
all.
happens when I talk with my hands. I'm like a very animated person, and I gotta recognize where those hands are going. I apologize if I just like
That's
caused
okay.
anybody's eardrums to kind of go there. um, but the point is, even let's say a gym, right? So you're kind of coming in and you might join the gym and you don't sign up, or you do a free trial, right? And you come in for the
Mm-hmm.
day and you never sign up. Imagine getting all these different emails and information about, here's some exercise routines, here's some nutrition tips. And it's like, oh, wow, this gym has a lot to offer. It's not just trying to sell me a membership, it's really trying to help me with my lifestyle and make these
Mm-hmm.
changes. And so that's what nurturing is all about. Now, all that being said, you need to know who's actually raising their hand and showing interest. And so a good CRM is going to alert you when oh, Jason's gotten emails for the last 6 months, never
Mm-hmm.
opened any of them. Now he finally did, went to the website. He didn't fill out a form, but he spent 10 minutes on your site. You need to be getting that information and to be alerted by that, right? So you can't be expected as a business person to go in and be looking for that. You need a CRM to be able to say, hey, Jason, look at this. Melissa's back on the website. You might want to give her a call.
Mm.
And so that's what the idea of nurturing is to educate, but also then to have the resources and technology to let you know who's actually like, sort of like eating up, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
the information and then saying like, hey, this sounds interesting. Like I want more.
Okay, my wheels are buzzing
Yeah.
because we have a separate CRM for my dance studio, and then I
Yep.
have a separate one for my consulting. And I, a couple years ago, wanted to bring those leads over from my dance studio one
Mhm.
because it doesn't have the robust analytics that say Susie Q opened this
Right.
email and she went to the website. So,
Hmm.
but she hasn't registered, so I can do that. So it's just, and we got rid of it because just what you said, you have a team member like in charge of that, but it was just too much for them to do. And now I want to revisit that. Like, okay, if I could revisit that, because there's a bunch of leads that come in, they make that account, they may
Hmm.
even come in for that trial. And yeah, just they fall off. They fall off. So how are we not
Yeah.
doing that?
Exactly. And we talked before about losing things to competitors, and that's what happens. A lot of companies just build really great content, marketing strategies, whether it be email and other things, but then they don't follow through. And so it's like if you're going to put all that time and money into, getting people attracted to whatever it is you're trying to sell, but you're not going to actually look at that data and look at that information in real time and be able to do something about it, in my opinion, it's kind of like, well, why are you even doing it at all?
Yeah.
Because, you know, everybody that invests money in marketing and growing their business wants to see a return on that investment. And that's
Hmm.
something we help our clients do is be able to see that return because we can really zero in so closely on the data to be able to make that really worthwhile for them.
Okay, can you help me understand exactly what you do? So are
Yeah.
you creating the copy for people to get those nurturing emails, or are they doing that, or what is the role? And then are you going behind the scenes and looking at and then giving them a list of, okay, these are the people that you should follow up with? Like, what is the nuts and bolts of what
all
you
of
do?
all of the
All of it?
above, all of the
Yeah.
above,
Okay.
with some modification, right? So we have clients who are like amazing writers, or they have people on their team or external people they work with that
Hmm.
write all their content. That's great. They may need us just to build out the email designs, or maybe they have somebody doing that too. Melissa, we're very flexible. We're a small team of 6. We're
Okay.
very agile to adjust to our clients' needs. At the end of the day, we just want to get them to the goals that they have. So it doesn't hinder or hurt our feelings if they're like, hey, we got all the content and it's great. We want to use this. As long as we think it's good, not to say
Hmm.
that, and some we'll give pushback and
Yeah. Hmm.
suggestions, be like, hey, your email has 52 links. It's a little bit much.
Too much. Yeah.
We want to kind of bring that down a little bit. So to answer your question, we have some clients that say, hey, Jason, we need your team to just manage this and monitor everything for us. Sometimes it's a hybrid. Sometimes we provide training too, right? So we're not only setting up these systems and putting everything into place, we're showing the client and their team how to use the system, how to do the things that we know how to do.
Uh-huh.
And we meet with them every month, just like I know you do a lot of
Okay.
coaching. We coach our clients and have these strategy sessions with them on a monthly basis indefinitely to make
Yeah.
sure that they're getting the most out of it. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's very flexible.
Very cool. Okay, I want to jump to newsletter. You have a question here. Which type of data to collect to create a relevant newsletter content? So explain that. What three types of data should we be including?
Well, so a lot of companies out there, when they do, let's say, a monthly newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
they're sending it out to their entire database, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that content may not be relevant to everybody the same way. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for example, just in very simple terms, you might have a list of here's our active customers, here's our past customers, and here are our like active prospects. You might want to have 3 different versions of your newsletter so that the messaging can change to resonate with who's receiving it. I remember we had a fairly decent sized museum we were working with a while back, and they had something like like 30,000 people on a list that they were sending out an email to on any given week. And it had donors, it had sponsors, it had, people
Mm-hmm.
that were members, that had people that came in for a 1 day visit that never came back. And their email was so long. I mean, if you, those that could see the visual, but I'm holding my hand up really high, really
Mm-hmm.
low. And it was like, oh my God, like there was so much information. And they were wondering why their engagement wasn't high and why people weren't, responding to the emails. It's because they were trying to cram everything possibly for every single audience into one email. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work well that way. So that's what I mean by that is like, thinking about, who you are um, in terms of a company, what you do, but then also you might do it a little bit differently for different people. And
Mm-hmm.
so that messaging really should be, unique to each of those different groups.
Mm-hmm. Uh, uh,
So I'll
is
give you one
anybody? Yeah,
example.
I'm just like thinking
Let
about
me give
all
it.
the things I should do better.
So go back to the gym example.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's
Thank
say you own a gym
you. Mm-hmm.
and you have a list of your members and people
Yep.
that came in as guests. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to send out a monthly newsletter. And let's say all the members paid, $30 a month for their membership. Okay. And you wouldn't want to send a newsletter out, include your members, but really the messaging is to the people that aren't members and saying, hey, we're running a special, get a membership for $10 a month and locked it in for 3 years.
Yeah.
You're going to make a lot of your existing members very upset that they didn't get that offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the types of things where messaging is important
Mm-hmm.
because it can not only not do the right thing, but it can also hinder your business as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've seen that a lot with companies where people make a purchase and then the very next day or a week later they get an email and they're like, why are you sending this to me?
Yeah.
Like, I just bought this, like, you know and so it makes the company look like they're not buttoned up, and you could lose some kind of credibility with
Yeah.
that customer for future business.
Absolutely. The automation is lovely, but if it's not working properly, it makes you not look very professional. And that's the
Exactly.
yeah, very good. Um, so back to that newsletter. So when you do break it up, then you can identify quicker and more effectively who truly are warm leads or the low-hanging fruit
Yeah,
that you
I
want to
mean,
meet.
so you're limited only based on the type of system you're using to send out the newsletters. So nothing wrong with MailChimp. It's a good product for
Mm-hmm.
what it is, but it's not going to tell you who's coming to the website, what they're
Mm-hmm.
looking at. So all you're really going to know is these are the people that clicked, these are the people that opened. Did they click and did they do anything? Did they leave your website right away? Was it even a real click? Maybe it was a bot click, because nowadays you have a lot of different security systems in place when on the recipient side to scan your email, and they click everything to make sure there's no malware, and so
Mm-hmm.
that could send back a false positive that it was
Mm-hmm.
really a click and there wasn't. So you know it all depends upon what you're trying to get out of it. If your newsletter is just like a billboard and you're like, I don't care if people look at it or not, like I just want to send it out, because I want to stay in front of people, it's certainly one approach. Um, I think the biggest thing that you can do in any system, regardless of what you're using, which I think a lot of people don't do, and I always kind of like, sort of smile when people tell me, oh, I got a 60% open rate. I'm like, that's great. What about the 40% that didn't open your email? Right? And they're like, I don't know. Well, they didn't open it. So what we do for our clients, and what I recommend to anybody listening, your system should, regardless of what you have, should have the ability to tell you who did not open up your last email that you sent.
Mm-hmm.
What I suggest is wait typically like 3 to 5 days and send out a different version of your email to the non-openers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say a different version, it could be something where it's a different subject message.
Mm-hmm.
For Cultivize, what we've seen really good results with is our newsletter is all nice and glossy and beautiful pictures and design. But for the people that don't open it, they get a plain text version of our newsletter a week later, which is usually about 50% to 75%, excuse me, shorter in terms of content than the
Mm-hmm.
original.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from, me personally. I'm like, hey, Melissa, like, I was working on this. So I thought you might find this interesting. And so it's like a different tone. And we see a huge increase in engagement on that second send for the non-openers that didn't open up the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that a lot of people don't do. They just say, "Oh, we're going to send out a monthly newsletter." They send it, and they don't pay attention to the non-openers.
What you said something about the nurturing, going back to that with the pool. Okay, let's go back to the pool scenario. And as an SEO person, so for those of you smaller team, smaller businesses, you have, we have our lean and mean team, and
Sure.
you're overwhelmed with that nurture, going, oh my word. Okay, I understand the importance of it, but
Yeah.
those, to me, in my mind, those are blog posts. Those are things that people, you could use as a blog post to help with your SEO, but then
Hmm.
repurpose that blog post into a nice email to keep that nurturing going. Did you think about this? Or
Oh,
when you're considering
absolutely.
a dance studio, make
Yeah.
sure you're looking at the teachers, blah, blah, blah. Or when you're looking at a dance studio, make sure they have a sprung floor. And this is why. Da, 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 da. Okay, so just because when you said that, I was like, I could just feel my my people just go, oh my gosh, I have to do this. No, we're repurposing, and then that all
Yeah,
gets brought into your marketing, a little bit sprinkled in here and there. It all
absolutely.
works cohesively, but it can be feeling overwhelming. But I love this the importance of these analytics of checking and seeing that low hanging fruit. Like I love looking at my email stats of who opened, who clicked, because then I send, if I'm really on top of it, I'm sending them a private message. I'm saying,
Hmm.
hey, I saw you check that landing, checked out the mastermind or checked out this. Can I help answer any questions or
Melissa,
something?
I've got dozens. I mean, we don't have time, but I've got dozens of stories where we'll be nurturing somebody. They might be on a sequence of emails that are dripping out, or they
Mm-hmm.
might just get our monthly newsletter. And it
Mm-hmm.
could be a year or more that they haven't opened up any of our emails.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, I get a notification on our system. Oh, John's back on the website. I'm like, well, that's weird. I remember John's name. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like, I look at John's profile, I see what he's looking at. And then when I call John within 24 hours of that action,
Mm.
oh, hey, Jason. Yeah, I remember you. How's it going? I never bring up the email. I never mention I saw them on the website, but I'm top of mind to them. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you how many pieces of, or how many clients we've closed because I was just in the right time at the right place. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really what a lot of business is all about, to closing these,
Mm-hmm.
deals or even, you know, and again, in the retail, you have something, a new product that you just got in.
Yeah.
It's in the front shelf when you first walk in, and like
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh, that's cool," and they pick it up and buy it. If it was in the back of the store, maybe they would have never seen it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about positioning and about all these different things. So yes, it does work, and it's quite.
Mm-hmm.
I always find it like astonishing when it does because me, it's like I do it for a living, but I'm like, it's pretty remarkable that people are human behavior, right? It's
Yes.
just they're
Yes.
doing something for a reason. I
Yes.
joke a lot, sort of that you don't on a Saturday because you're bored and have nothing to do, walk into a car dealership and just look around, right?
Right.
You're there because you probably are in the market for buying a car or you want to get some ideas. And so if somebody
Mm-hmm.
doesn't recognize that and doesn't tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, Jason, it's great to meet you and introduce themselves, and you just walk out with no one ever interacting with you, that's a used missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love this conversation because it's we work so hard
Mm-hmm.
on getting the new lead, on getting that new lead. And we have so many, for those of us that have been in business, I always say every month, every year in business, you just have more data, you have more feedback. And with 16 years in business, I have a database, a beautiful database. And it was asked, do you ever delete people off your database? And
Mm.
somebody said, absolutely not, because you don't. I, I'm in business long enough where my students are now parents and
Mm-hmm.
some of them are grandparents.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
to
amazing.
to have them, oh, I'm going to bring my daughter or my
Mm.
granddaughter to dance, it legit happens. So as long as you're in front of face there. But I got so much value out of your conversation today. Just to I want to go back to my instincts of what I was doing a few years ago. It was just a little bit too much um, to handle with my part-time admin, but I
Mm-hmm.
the value of it, that we work so hard for those leads, but we have so many warm leads among us that we can dial in more. This was really good. This was really good. Do you have any parting words or anything that I did not say or ask you that you would like
No,
people to
so
know?
I would just say that, for the people that are still tuned in, and I'm hoping that most of them are, that well, I think this has been an engaging conversation. Is that it does sound overwhelming. You brought that up before, and there are a lot of moving parts, and it's something new. Just like if you were to say, "Hey, I'm going to go put an extension on my house. I don't know how to build that." Like you figure it out, or you hire somebody, right? So, that's what we're here for. We help you to figure it out, to do all the work for you. We're not a company that says, here's the plan, go figure it out. Like that doesn't work in the realistic world. And so every one of our clients, regardless of the size, small or big, we're doing all this work for them. We're creating that strategy. We're putting the things together, putting the right software into place, showing them how to use it. And so that's one thing I would say is a takeaway. If for those that are interested in just kind of like learning more at different levels, you can go to afterthelead.com. That's just afterthelead.com as it sounds. And on there is a place to sign up for our newsletter. We talk about newsletters. So hopefully everybody, listeners like ours, but we have lots of great content that goes out monthly. If someone that's a little bit more kind of like ready to take the next step, we actually wrote a playbook. So the playbook is all about lead nurturing, and it goes step by step with all the components you'll need, different framework examples. They could download that for free. And for those that are like, hey, I need to talk to Jason tomorrow, there's a link in there to schedule a call with me personally, absolutely free. We'll dive into the business
Mhm.
challenges, needs, and help you out as any way we can.
Awesome. This was so helpful. I hope everybody's brain is just buzzing a little bit. I know there's always stuff to improve. There's always things we can do better.
Yeah,
But
of course.
hearing this was really helpful for me. So, Jason, thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with Brick and Mortar Visibility, our community. And everybody, go grab that. Of course, we'll have it in the show notes, so you can just click there. And Jason, I appreciate your time. And everybody, we will see you here, same time, same place next week. Peace.
Thanks, Melissa.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.